Welcome to Just Cook It Radio, hosted by Chef Mario Pareca and Bill Alexander. Just Cook It Radio is about food, life, and everything in between. And now, your hosts of Just Cook It Radio, Mario and Bill.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are listening to Just Cook It on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS, and also on FCTV Channel 77, and at justcookit.tv. I am Mario Pareca, alongside me, Bill Alexander.
You sure there's not anywhere else they can find us?
They can find us at justcookitradio.com, which is our website.
That's
the
it?
hub.
Is that it? Anything else?
They can call us.
Oh, okay.
855-590-0590.
There you go.
Or locally, 724-812-0590. There's no excuse for not finding us, for not being in touch with us.
Very, very true.
And that's why I take the time to go through these each and every week, yes. So
hopefully they pay off and they're not turning the dial as you go through them.
Why would you even plant that in someone's mind? Why would you even say that? We have do not touch that radio dial, because we have a very exciting show coming up, including a special guest. We will have Boncora Biscotti. We'll have actually Bonnie Tempesta from Boncora Biscotti. Boncora Biscotti. We'll be talking all things biscotti. I know most people in this area are familiar with biscotti.
Right.
And Bonnie, her company, actually started the craze in the 1980s.
Yes.
So it'll be very interesting to hear what she has to say about biscotti.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, since I wasn't able to be there whenever you talked to her.
Yes,
so.
and we've both tried the biscotti.
Oh, they're excellent.
They're very good. They're a little lighter than the ones that we're used to in this area, but they're very. I actually kind of like this texture better, to be honest.
And if you're watching us on Fayette TV or on justcookit.tv, you can actually see them right here in front of us. This is the biscotti that is just almond biscotti.
Those are almond, the originals, yes.
And this one is, so I don't knock it over here. And this one here is the chocolate dipped almond biscotti.
Yep.
Which is very excellent. It's very good.
I'm a fan of the chocolate dips.
I like the chocolate dip.
My thing, and it's great with coffee.
Yeah,
Fantastic
I'm
dip
sure
in
it
coffee.
is.
And that texture actually helps it absorb a little more coffee, which makes it even better.
Good. Yeah. It's a dipping cookie,
yes,
I guess, as you could call it. Can you call these cookies?
Yeah, they're cookies. They're biscotti.
Biscotti. And they're handmade in Sonoma, California.
Sonoma Valley. There's a lot of good culinary treats that come from Sonoma.
And what's really interesting...
And wine.
And this is the best part about these, is that when you read the ingredients, you can read the ingredients.
Yes, there's no tricks.
Almonds, sugar, unbleached white flour, eggs, spelt flour, natural flavoring, and baking soda. And then it contains tree nuts, wheats, and eggs. So there you go. I mean,
yep, they're real cookies.
I like that. That is really good. How long does it take them to make this many cookies if they're handmade?
We're going to talk about that. So to make sure you don't touch that dial, because you're going to hear all about these biscotti in the upcoming interview. That'll be later on in the program. We'll have Bonnie on. We'll be talking about the biscotti. And you can actually go to boncorabiscotti.com and order them if you'd like, but we'll let Bonnie tell you all about that as well later on in the program. So that's what we have coming up. Until we get to that point, we're going to fly through these food holidays, but I want to talk about a couple things. I was reading a magazine, and I have subscriptions to many food magazines.
Okay.
And so I read these. It's how I stay in tune with the current events, along with the internet. Of course, I use the internet too, but I like the whole magazine feel and being able to take it with me and look at things. So I found some interesting things in this particular magazine right here that we're going to talk about really quickly. And these are just some different things that you may not know.
Not know?
Yes. So the first thing, and I thought this was interesting. I have yet to try this. I haven't heard of this until now, but the title of the column or of the picture, it's a picture with a caption, is called Shock Value.
Okay.
So it's always been known that green vegetables, what makes them green is their chlorophyll.
Right.
And in order to stabilize that chlorophyll to keep them bright green, so that's why sometimes at restaurants, if you get, or either restaurants or at home, if you cook green beans and they get army green,
yes,
not good, overcooked, don't look good. But if you go to a restaurant, usually they're bright green.
Yes.
So what they do is they blanch them, shock them in ice water to stop the cooking right away, and that sets the color.
I got you.
Then they can rethermalize them without that color moving. Now, it says here that food scientists think they found a way to extend the life of fresh produce, not just the color, but the entire life.
Okay, and how do they do that?
They actually shock it in warm water. It says researchers at the Cooking Lab, which is a research facility started by Modernist Cuisine, one of the authors of Modernist Cuisine, report that submerging fruit and vegetables in hot water slows the production of gases and enzymes that turn them brown.
Okay.
It says to just fill a pot with hot tap water, somewhere between 122 and 131 degrees, and soak the produce for 2 to 3 minutes, then drain dry and refrigerate them as you usually would. It says the fruit and veggies might actually taste better too.
Okay.
It says the gentleman from the lab says that in the study they found a slight increase in the crunchiness of the texture.
Yeah, interesting.
So putting it through like a hot water bath, so to speak, actually makes it better. That's the first I've ever heard of that.
I would have never guessed that, to be honest with you.
But it kind of makes sense because when you think about the process I explained before I read that, when you blanch and shock, you're submerging it into boiling water for X number of minutes, and then you're taking it directly to ice water, which sets the color. So I guess this is kind of a lighter version of that process because you're putting it in hot water, and then you're removing it and putting it in the refrigerator.
Now, when you do this, it's not getting rid of any of the vitamins or the minerals in the vegetables, because I know we've said that when you overcook them, a lot of that stuff.
Well, it would depend if they're
disintegrates.
I would think not, just because even if they are water soluble, and that's generally what you lose when you blanch something, when you boil something. Yeah. But it's only in there for 2 to 3 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that's long enough to really. Okay. I mean, I'm not a doctor or scientist, but in my opinion, I don't think that's long enough to really deter anything there.
Okay. Interesting.
Next thing I found that was very interesting. The title's No Butts Allowed.
Okay.
With 2 T's. They're talking about butts.
Okay.
But they're talking about pork butts. Because it says, starting this summer, 350 cuts of pork and beef, including the ever-popular pork butt, will go by new names on grocery store labels.
Why?
So that's something we have to look for. It says the National Pork Board and the National
Pork Board
and the National Cattlemen's Beef Association say the names are meant to be less confusing. So, for instance, pork butt is going to be now known as blade roast.
Oh, okay. That makes it so much more clearer to me. How about you?
Bone-in pork loin chop is going to be known as the porterhouse pork chop.
Okay.
Pork loin chops are going to be known as New York pork chops.
So are we taking beef cuts and we're translating them to pork cuts?
Because the pork loin rib chop is going to be known as the ribeye pork chop.
Yes, that's what we're doing.
So we're kind of combining the two. But that's starting at 350 cuts of pork and beef. Huh. It's going to be starting this summer, so keep your eyes open for that. I wanted to mention that.
I like pork.
And then I wanted to show you this, Bill. This is just something that I found, and I thought of you when I saw this.
That's not good.
So actually, it is good. This is something I think you're going to really enjoy.
Okay.
As I fumble through this and try to find all these ads in here. Why do they put ads? I'm just kidding.
Same reason why we do.
Here you go.
Iced coffee. There you go.
I'll show this to the people watching on TV. It's a whole spread, 2-page spread, all about iced coffee.
Serious iced coffee. Cold brewing makes the best iced coffee. Smoother and less acidic than hot brewed, but it takes time. And a lot of ground coffee. So there is the article, so that you can actually
you can
show this to you guys. And what is this? Food Network magazine. Okay. Anything in here about Paula Deen?
Actually, no. Believe it or not. But
they got a Sharpie and knocked everything off. I think I dropped the car out of your magazine.
There are a lot of black lines through pages. Like when if you ever gotten a letter from like the army, someone in the army, or something that's been read from prisoners you see on movies. Yeah, there's a lot of black lines.
Classified information.
Sharpies.
There you go.
But so that's one of the magazines. I pulled a few things out. I thought
that's interesting. It really is.
About the pork cuts. That shock value thing I found was interesting. I'm gonna have to try that and see how it works. I'm sure it's modernist cuisine is a volume of cookbooks that came out, I would say, a year to a year and a half ago. And it's a very expensive volume. It's about $600.
Wow.
Okay?
For a cookbook?
It's a volume of cookbooks.
Wow.
It's about 5 or 6 books.
Okay.
And it goes through everything. And the pictures...
$100 a book.
The pictures are phenomenal. I don't have the set. I've looked through them. I thought about getting a set, but I haven't made the plunge yet. I haven't committed myself to... Yeah, you can.
eBay?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. But it was a group of chefs that got together and wrote this book, and basically they wanted to show you what happens when foods cook and how you can basically cook anything. Makes sense. It showed how they took like the photography for the book, which is insane. They would actually take pots, cut them in half with a huge saw, put plated glass over them, and then cook it and watch it from the side view through the the pot as it cooked. And they did things like that for their photography, and their cameras not only took the video images, which they put online and put on the discs, I believe, but they also took frame by frame stills, so then they could go through the entire process shot by shot as it happened. So as these green vegetables change their colors when you blanch them and shock them, now you can see it happen in front of your eyes. As cookies bake, you can see them baking from beginning to end. So it's a really interesting series that I would like to get my hands on. But if they came out with this whole thing about the shock value, then I have to say that I believe it. I'm not going to say it works one way or the other because I haven't tried it, but I believe it.
Yeah. Hey, we got to step away for a brief moment.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to go through our food holidays, and then after, in our third segment, we're going to have Bonnie Tempesta from Boncora Biscotti, so be sure to tune in for that. And do not touch that radio dial. Just Cook It is being served up to you today by the Big Barn Country Store and Deli, by Paraka Chiropractic Center, Inc., by 4th Street Barbecue, by the Herald Standard, and on FCTV by Phil Gianetti Motors.
And you're watching Just Cook It on Fayette TV, Channel 77, and also on JustCookIt.tv. And you're listening to us right here on your local station, 590 Radio, WMBS.
Phil Gianetti Motors at 656 National Pike East in Brownsville is a proud sponsor of programming on FCTV. Phil Gianetti Motors providing quality vehicles for 45 years. If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, give Phil Gianetti's a call at 724-785-6800 or stop by their website, philgianettimotors.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Just Cook It on your local station, 590 Radio, WMBS, and also on FCTV, Channel 77, and at JustCookIt.tv. You can find us at JustCookItRadio.com. When I say us, I mean myself, Mario Pareca, and alongside me, Bill Alexander.
I knew who I am. I don't have to say it. I know where I'm at.
You to say it.
I'm sorry.
But he's here. He's awake.
And if excuse me, and if you're watching us on JustCookIt.tv or on Fayette TV right now, you notice all this stuff on our table. We have our stuff from Shiners, and we also have our biscotti that is on the table.
From Boncora Biscotti, and they will be joining us in the next segment.
There is it says, what's that say? I can't read.
That says, Realizzati Complimenti.
Which means?
I do not speak. I know a few certain words.
A mono. But what, you can't share those on
I
radio?
can't share those on radio.
That's what I thought.
And I know manja means eat.
Okay. Okay. But, I just wondered.
So we will be talking with them in the next segment, so be sure to stick around for that. We're going to talk all things biscotti.
Right.
And again, our number 855-590-0590 or 724-812-0590. And Bill, today, happy National Lollipop Day.
Lollipop Day.
Do you want to sing the song? I know that popped into your head, didn't it?
We represent the Lollipop Guild. I'm sorry. It did. When you said that, I'm thinking the Wizard of Oz.
A lot of things make me think Wizard of Oz. It's also National Hot Dog Day.
That's a good day.
And it's also National Fortune Cookie Day.
Which are not from China.
They're actually Japanese, but they're too American for the Chinese. So go figure.
Yeah, if you listened to last week's show, you heard us go on about that.
One thing about hot dogs I want to mention.
Yes.
One of our sponsors, 4th Street Barbecue,
makes their own hot dogs?
I'm actually, I've been working, I'm a consultant with them. I've been consulting them with the new menu, which is coming out very, very soon. And they have new hot dogs that are coming on.
Oh, really?
We worked on the hot dogs, and they're awesome.
Are they making their own? Is that what I'm getting?
They're not making their own, but they're making a lot of homemade toppings for them, like different coleslaws, pickled jalapenos, red onion marmalade.
Sounds good.
Truffle mayonnaise.
Okay.
It's going to be, I mean, they have some really kicked up hot dogs, and they're good stuff. And the way we actually started doing them, I'm going to say this, I hope we don't decide to change it.
Right.
But we actually butterfly them and sear them.
Yeah.
So there's a nice caramelization on the inside, and then we can fill the inside of the hot dog with stuffing.
I like that.
So on a toasted bun, it's good stuff. So make sure you check out 4th Street Barbecue in Charleroi in the not-so-distant future and check it out. There's a lot of other great menu items coming, such as French fries, which are actually going to be seasoned with API recipe number 7. So if you want to try it, you can go there and try it.
Finally get it there.
Yeah, there you go. And then it will be for sale very soon. And then,
Yes.
along with those fries, and then they have new cheeseburgers and hamburgers.
Oh, really?
That we worked on.
Cool.
That are really, really
Very
good. And
good.
their wings are awesome.
Are they really? That's good.
They're smoked first,
Okay.
and then they're finished in the fryer to crisp
Cool.
them up, and then different sauces. So make sure you check out 4th Street Barbecue and their new menu, along with still have the ribs, the chops, and
Gotcha.
all that brisket, all the classic barbecue items. But it's a great place, and they have the new menu. It's gonna
Sounds
be
good.
really
It
off
really
the
does.
charts. So check it out. That's National Hot Dog Day. You can remember that and
My son
check
lives
out the
off
hot
hot
dog.
dogs. That's the main staple of his diet, is the hot dog.
hot dogs are good. What type of hot dog?
What do you mean by type?
Is it just the regular dog?
Turkey, chicken, and there's beef.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Is it Oscar Mayer?
no. Yes, sometimes it is.
Is it really?
But
Ballpark Franks?
my sons, both of them, the oldest and the middle, have a favorite, and it's Sugardale hot dogs.
Yeah, sugar dogs
Of
are good.
all of, and I mean,
Decent.
I like Sugardale
Yeah.
hot dogs. I like them on the grill. I like them the way they cook up. But it's like they know the hot dog they like.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because they won't eat them. When we go to picnics and that, they'll ask if they're Sugardale hot dogs. It's really odd to see a 9-year-old going, "What kind of hot dog are you cooking?"
It's a hot dog.
I don't know. Is it Sugardale? I don't know. Let me go ask her. Nah, I'm not gonna eat it. Never mind.
I like Silver Star hot dogs.
Silver
too.
Stars are good. I like Nathan's too.
Nathan's?
Nathan's are real
Nathan's is actually what they have at 4th Street
Oh, really?
Barbecue,
Cool.
yes.
I like that.
And they're the big ones, the
Yes.
jumbo ones. So
good. Okay, I like that.
the 21st is National Ice Cream Day and National Junk Food Day.
Hey, they go hand in hand.
They go well together.
Yes.
So you can take some potato chips, crumble it on your ice
Ice cream.
cream, and there you go.
I don't know
It
if I've
actually
ever done
wouldn't
that.
be bad
It wouldn't be
because the sweet and
Salt.
salty.
Sound like my
Just
wife
don't
now.
get
Yeah.
overly,
Yeah.
overly, crazy with it. On the 22nd is National Penuche Fudge Day.
Penuche.
Penuche. Yes, and I say it like that because I never heard of penuche,
What
believe
is
it or not.
Penuche fudge?
Penuche is a fudge-like candy made from brown sugar, butter, and milk.
I've never heard
Using
of it
no
before.
flavorings except for vanilla.
Okay.
It has a tannish color and is lighter than regular fudge.
Huh.
It is, yep. It says it is formed by the caramelization of brown sugar, thus its flavor is said to be reminiscent of caramel.
Interesting.
Nuts, especially pecans, are often added
Or is it
to
pecan?
penuche for
Penuche.
texture. Especially in the making of penuche candies, it's primarily a regional food found in New England and some places
darn,
in
I
the
never
southern
heard that
United
before.
States, though in the latter it goes by different names, usually brown sugar fudge candy.
Oh, I never heard of it before.
I haven't either. My mother did. But I had to look it up, and if you go to dictionary.com and you look
Right.
things up, they have a pronunciation
Yeah.
tool. And I was clicking it, and it's going, Penuche, Penuche. And that's why every time I say it now, it's just like instinctual. I say, Penuche.
Penuche. Yeah, there you go.
And that's right up there with gazebo.
Okay,
so those
there you go.
those
There
two
you
words.
go.
Have some penuche in the gazebo. That's a
There
fantastic
you go.
afternoon all to itself right there. On the now, get this one. On the 23rd, we have National Vanilla Ice Cream Day.
That's my favorite.
So we have 2 ice creams.
And it's kind of appropriate because on the 23rd is my birthday.
Oh, that is on your birthday.
Yeah.
There you go. So
I'm 3 years from 50. 3 years from the AARP card. I'm so excited. So is my 13-year-old because he knows of all the discounts that I'm able to get.
he's planning ahead,
Yes.
planning for the future.
Yeah. 3 years from 50. Never
quite
thought
an
I'd
accomplishment.
Never thought I'd get this far. But Vanilla Ice Cream Day
You
is a
can
very
have
appropriate
an
day.
extra scoop of vanilla ice
It's
cream.
very
Happy
appropriate.
birthday in 3 days.
Thank you.
And have an extra scoop of vanilla ice
I
cream
will.
to celebrate.
I will.
Sprinkles or no sprinkles on your ice cream?
It depends on the mood. I'm more of a chocolate syrup or a caramel sauce.
Now,
on
chocolate syrup or hot fudge?
mine. Caramel syrup.
Caramel syrup.
Yeah.
I love
And if
hot
I
fudge.
really want to go and I really want to do it, I go to Eaton Park and get a tin roof sundae.
There you go.
The real tin roof sundae, not that peanut butter parfait thing they do at Dairy Queen, but a real tin roof sundae from Eaton Park.
With vanilla ice cream.
Yep.
There you go. And did you know
With the
Well, we'll get
in
to that
the
later.
silver sundae thing and the anyway.
Penuche, did you know that vanilla is the #1 selling flavor of ice cream?
Yes.
And chocolate syrup is actually the favorite topping to be put on ice cream.
can see that.
The major ingredient in ice cream is what?
Milk, I hope, or cream. What?
Air.
Air? Really?
We talked about that. July's National Ice Cream Month. We knew that. It was created by Ronald Reagan in 1984.
The ice
naming
cream
it the month, not ice cream. It takes approximately 50 licks to finish off a scoop of ice cream.
And how big's a scoop?
A scoop, the regular scoop.
I've seen big scoops, small scoops.
The average scoop.
Average scoop. I need to get Bill Jackson in here. Have you ever had their vanilla ice cream?
Yes, I did. It's good. It's very good. I had it at the 4th of July Fest.
Very, very good.
The United States is the top ice cream consuming country in the world.
I believe that.
According to the Guinness World Records, the largest ice cream pyramid was made in August of 2002, had 3,894 scoops, totaled 22 layers, and weighed 1,005 pounds. The pyramid was 53 inches high.
Wow. That's a lot of ice cream.
The history of ice cream dates back to the 2nd century BC.
Okay.
Many believe that it was invented in China.
I always thought it was invented in Italy. Why do I think that?
I have no idea.
I have no idea. Oh, I wonder why. I have to look.
Gelato's Italian.
Maybe that is. Maybe that's why. I thought it was the gelato idea.
In 1812, the First Lady, Dolly Madison, served ice cream at the second inaugural ball.
Was that before or after she made zingers?
Maybe at the same time. It takes 12 pounds of milk to make a gallon of ice cream.
Yeah. That's interesting. That really is. And that's when you use milk, unlike some of the dairies now, they're using all this other
stuff that you can't pronounce and can't talk about.
Yeah.
The 24th, moving on from National Vanilla Ice Cream Day, on the 24th is National Tequila Day. And there you go. There's your agave, because tequila is made from blue agave, the blue agave plant.
Now, have you ever had the Jose Cuervo with the worm in the bottom of it?
I haven't.
And
I have had tequila many times, and I'm not a huge tequila fan. I mean, I can handle it, but I'm not. If I'm ordering, I'm not ordering tequila. If someone else orders it, I will drink it.
But tequila, the big thing I remember was the Jose Cuervo, and you get it, and you had the worm in the bottom of it, and when you were done, you ate the worm, because the worm was pickled. I mean, it was no big deal about it. So,
have you ever eaten the worm?
Yes, once.
Did you like it?
It was okay.
It tastes like a kosher dill.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And
it's more of a bread and butter flavor.
Yeah, I honestly, I think I still have a bottle of tequila somewhere in the house that the seal's still on, because I don't drink tequila very often.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. The most traditional way to drink tequila in Mexico is straight. Without lime or salt.
Yeah.
It's popular in some regions to drink fine tequila with a side of sangrita, which is a sweet and sour spicy drink typically made from orange juice, grenadine or tomato juice, and hot chilies.
Okay.
So there you go. Outside Mexico, a single shot of tequila is often served with salt and a slice of lime, as you're probably used to here. And this is called tequila cruda, and is sometimes referred to as training wheels, lipstick suck, or lick, shoot, suck, referring to the way in which the combination of ingredients is imbibed.
So in other words, the salt is put on your forefinger, you have the shot glass, and then you have the lime in the other hand. Yes.
And then, on the 25th, we have National Hot Fudge Sundae Day. So
with vanilla ice cream or...
Now, a hot fudge sundae can be made with any ice cream flavor.
I think if it's made with chocolate, it's just too much chocolate. I'm sorry.
I can agree with that sometimes. My father would beg to differ.
I'm sure he would.
He loves chocolate. He can eat chocolate on chocolate on chocolate. So, but yeah, I read that technically, and I always thought the traditional technical hot fudge sundae was vanilla ice cream with hot fudge and whipped cream and a cherry.
Yes.
But it's actually, it says the hot fudge sundae can be made with any flavor ice cream, as long as it has the hot fudge.
I would assume it would have been vanilla too. I really would have.
And then on the 26th, we're going to wrap it all up. And this has to do with ice cream again. That's why it's National Ice Cream Month.
Yeah.
This is National Coffee Milkshake Day.
And I can honestly say I've never had one before.
I think I've had a couple.
I've never had one.
It's just a milkshake made with coffee ice cream.
However, I was at a restaurant the other day, and I sent you a photograph. They are making a beer milkshake.
With Blue Moon, right?
With Blue Moon.
Sounds interesting. You didn't try it?
No, I did not try it.
You should have tried it.
I did not try it. I saw that, and I'm going...
Did you see anyone else there drinking it, or did you just saw it on the menu?
I saw it on the menu. I took the photograph of the menu idea, and I'm going... We talked about that.
See, they heard us.
Yeah, they did.
Listening to the show.
Right. Yeah.
We start all this stuff, the pumpkin craze.
That's right.
You know, we go through it all. But that's your weekend food holidays. And remember to mark the 23rd on your calendars, because that is Bill Alexander's birthday.
You can mark it.
Make sure you call in and give him a happy birthday. Just tell him happy birthday to Bill at 855-590-0590 or at 724-812-0590.
That works, I guess.
Call in, tell him happy birthday, and he'll be forever grateful.
Or post it on Facebook like everybody else does.
Do both.
I don't get birthday cards anymore. Everybody posts it on Facebook. Yeah. No one gets cards anymore. I don't know if anybody's ever tweeted me happy birthday before. I have to think about that one. It's usually just on Facebook, so. Interesting.
Facebook, Twitter, it's all out there. And you can get all of our Facebook and Twitter information at justcookitradio.com. So remember that. We are going to step away now for a quick break.
Let's do that.
And when we come back, we will be speaking with Bonnie Tempesta of Boncora Biscotti.
Right.
Bonnie started the craze for her crunchy Tuscan cookie. It was in the 1980s, as we said. It's packaged in a clear recyclable tube. Boncora Biscotti, they make a festive, sophisticated gift for nearly any occasion, as well as a delicious addition to any dinner party. They come in almond as the traditional, the standard flavor, and then they also have a chocolate dipped version, which they're both excellent.
Really good.
Yeah, and they're great with coffee. So don't touch that dial. We're gonna have some messages from our sponsors. When we come back, Bonnie Tempesta of Boncora Biscotti to talk all about biscotti and the crunchy little Italian cookie. So you don't want to miss that. Just Cook It Radio is being served up to you today by the Big Barn, Country Store and Deli, by Perega Chiropractic Center, Inc., by 4th Street Barbecue, and by the Herald Standard.
And you're watching Just Cook It on Fayette TV, Channel 77, and also on JustCookIt.tv. And don't forget you're listening to Just Cook It Radio here on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS.
We're online with Bill Alexander meets the Mario Cook Show. Just Cook It Radio.
Welcome back. You are listening to Just Cook It right here on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS, and also on Fayette TV, which is at you can watch it at justcookit.tv. My name is Mario Pereca, and we have a very special guest here today with us, and we spoke about the guest before the break, and we even spoke about her on last week's program. So I'm very excited to have Bonnie Tempesta from Boncora Biscotti with us. Welcome, Bonnie, and thank you so much for giving us a few minutes of your time today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is great.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you because, lo and behold, I don't know if you could tell by my name, Mario Pereca, but I am Italian. And
I can tell.
And biscotti is something that I grew up on, that my family grew up making. So I was really excited to touch base with you and get a real biscotti expert on the show to tell us all about the cookie.
Oh, great. What kind of biscotti did your family make?
It was a family recipe, and I have tried your biscotti, and they are excellent, by the way. They're a little different than yours, though. Ours were, I want to say they were a little heavier, and a little texturally different, but we always had, like, the anise-flavored biscotti.
Right.
So because the town that my grandfather was from in Italy is one of the leading producers of anisette.
Oh,
so
what
there's
town is that?
It's Ascoli Piceno. It's in Marche.
Oh, in the Marche.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a brand of anisette that comes from there called Maleti.
Oh.
And so we actually, through the liquor stores here, we can order it by the case. They don't carry it, but we can order it, and we usually will get a case, and then we'll have it for the entire year.
Oh, that's
so
great.
So they'd use that in making the biscotti. But your biscotti, they come in almond and chocolate dipped.
Exactly.
And from what I understand, it's a family recipe that goes way back with you?
Yeah, it's a family recipe. It was my aunt's recipe, and it's a traditional biscotti di Prato. So the city of Prato, which is right outside of Florence, is famous for the almond, just pure almond biscotti. They don't use anise or anything like that. And if you go to a restaurant in Firenze, in Florence, you will usually see on the menu a little plate of biscotti and vin santo, which is the dessert wine that is also made in Tuscany. So, my aunt was from Prato, and I got the recipe from her when I was very young. Actually, I was 16 years old, and I just loved her biscotti. My mother and grandmother made the anise kind, and I happened to be not an anise fan, and so I never really made those. But when my aunt let me taste hers, I went, oh, these are really good. So that's when I started making them as a young person.
That's very cool. So you said, do you remember when you had your first biscotti?
Oh, yeah, I grew up with, the ones that my mom and grandmother made. They were always in the house. But I think I was about 16 when my mother and I used to walk around the corner to my aunt's house to have tea in the afternoon, and she brought out her bowl of biscotti di prato, and that's when I got the recipe from her. And so, that stuck out in my mind, and that's the recipe, for the most part, that I used with my first biscotti company in the 80s, and now again with Boncora.
So let's talk a little bit, now that you mentioned, about your first biscotti company. It was La Tempesta, after your last name, I believe?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you started that in the 80s, and you're actually known as the Queen of Biscotti, so, which is a very exclusive title.
Yes, I'm flattered.
So you started your biscotti with La Tempesta in the 80s, and how long did you carry that company, and then what made you decide to kind of take a break and then come back again as Boncora Biscotti?
I started La Tempesta in '83, and we had La Tempesta for 15 years, and we grew from, it started one of those great stories in my kitchen at home, and grew to a very pretty big company with 50 sales reps across the country, and it just was a wonderful thing. My mother was my partner in the company, and it kind of got to a point where it was really big, and then unfortunately my mom got sick, and it was just the right time to kind of let it go and pass it on to someone else. And so 15 years later we sold it, and I moved up to the wine country. I live in Sonoma, California, which is, right next to Napa, the famous wine country up here, and built a house and a garden, and just, did some teaching cooking classes and things like that. But in my heart, I always really missed the bakery and making the biscotti, and especially making them the way we did originally, which was by hand, completely by hand. Of course, as a business grows, then you bring in more machinery to make things faster. But when we started, everything was done by hand, and that is what we are doing now with Boncora. The dough is made by hand, they're rolled out by hand, they're cut by hand. Each cookie is dipped in chocolate by hand. So it's a very artisanal, process, which is what I wanted to do. That's really what I wanted to recreate. There's plenty of machine-made biscotti on the market, but I really wanted to do something authentic.
Now, doing it by hand, which I think is fantastic, I think that's a great way to do it, and it really brings that family atmosphere along with it, what you're used to and what you grew up with, because there's such a nostalgia with different foods, especially something like biscotti. But when you do it by hand, how many can you produce? How long does it take you to make them? And just how does that compare to, how's your output, being that you do everything by hand?
Well, we can actually do, in about 4 hours, we can do 100 pounds of biscotti by hand, and that's approximately 4,000. That's not dipped. The dipping process is separate, but actually baking the cookies, because they're I'm sure you've made them before. There's that long loaf, and you bake it in the loaf, and then you slice it after it's cooked. So we can get a lot of dough in the ovens at one time. Wow,
that's a lot of biscotti.
Yeah.
Sounds like if I came there, you'd have just enough to keep me happy.
Well, please come visit.
I would love to, especially that Sonoma area I hear is beautiful. I've never been, but I've heard lots of stories about the area.
Yeah, it is. It actually reminds me a lot of Italy, this area.
That's fantastic. I've been to Italy twice. It's a beautiful, beautiful country, and the food is the best food I've ever had in my life.
Well, no kidding, huh?
Absolutely. But so another thing about your biscotti now, which is actually your favorite? If you're going to have a biscotti, do you do it with the almond or do you go with the chocolate dipped? And what's your favorite accompaniment to have with a biscotti?
Well, if I'm going to go traditional, and all my sort of traditional Italian foodie friends will only have the plain, because that is indeed the traditional cookie from Prato, with the Vin Santo, some sort of a dessert wine or something like that. The chocolate dipped version is actually something that we kind of invented in the late 80s at La Tempesta. I was making another dessert at the time with chocolate, and one of my sales reps said, "Wow, if you could put some of that chocolate on the biscotti, I could sell 1 million of them." And I went, oh, okay. Let me try that. And
cool.
so we were the first company to start doing that. It didn't exist in Italy. I don't know if it does now, but so of course the chocolate dip is the number one seller. Everybody loves chocolate, and it is very good. And if I'm in the mood for something chocolate, then I will have one of those with a cup of coffee or something like that. So I think they're two. It's just a different. If you're in the got to have the chocolate fix, then that's the perfect thing to have.
Yeah, I love them both. I mean, and especially the chocolate ones when you dip them in coffee.
Yeah.
You don't need to, a lot of people who put sugar, I drink my coffee black, but a lot of people put sugar in their coffee. You dip that in your coffee, not only is it great on the cookie, but that sweetness from the chocolate will kind of get into your coffee and kind of help you out there too.
Exactly.
But my grandmother actually used to make a biscotti with but it wasn't dipped in chocolate. It was actually a chocolate cookie, but she'd put dried cherries in it.
Oh, yum!
And it was really, really good. It was one of my favorites. But when I saw your chocolate dipped, it kind of reminded me of that. Even though it was a little different, it kind of just gave me that reminiscent feeling of those cookies.
Yeah.
But so the next question I have for you is, being the biscotti queen and having your second company now, you actually started the biscotti craze in the 80s. Were you surprised at how well received your cookies were and how they just took off when you started your company?
Absolutely. It was really kind of one of the most amazing things that has ever happened to me. I mean, it just we were at the right time at the right place with a really good product, and I kind of had a feel for where it belonged. In the early 80s, the whole Starbucks thing was happening, and all the gourmet food stores were really coming in strong, and it was a perfect fit. And my first way of selling the product was I had these really beautiful glass jars, and I would fill the glass jars with the biscotti and sell them to coffee houses, and so that was just a novelty. It hadn't been done before, and so everybody wanted them. It was really, really amazing.
Now, I want to talk one more thing about the biscotti, and I've actually two questions here about biscotti and that whole process, and then I want to talk about your company a little bit. But first things first, there's a lot of people in this area that are of Italian descent, just a ton. And biscotti is one of those things that is just a big-time cookie and a big thing for Italians. So there's a thing that we do here in Western Pennsylvania. It's at weddings, they have a cookie table. And it's a table full of cookies, and obviously, being in this area, there's always biscotti there. So they're a huge thing, very popular. If you were going to give one tip to someone who makes biscotti, what would it be?
Well, I guess it would depend on what kind they're making, but I would just say use just the freshest ingredients possible. If it's fresh almonds or whatever nut you're putting in, I think that is always just great, high-quality ingredients would be my tip.
Absolutely. The fresher the ingredients, the better. We're talking to Bonnie Tempesta from Boncora Biscotti right here on Just Cook It on your local station, 590 Radio, WMBS. And Bonnie, with your cookies, I read that there is now, one thing I love about your cookies, I read the ingredients, and I can understand them all. They all make sense. There's nothing I'm tongue-twisted to pronounce. They're all real ingredients, which I really, really appreciate. And I noticed that your flour, it's actually cut with some spelt.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain, number one, what spelt is? I mean, I know what it is, but the listeners would like to know from an expert what spelt is, what it does, and how you decided that it needed to be incorporated into the biscotti.
Well, spelt is an ancient grain. It's kind of like a wheat berry, but it doesn't have as much gluten in it as wheat, and it's more rustic, kind of almost like a brown rice or something like that. And it, what I think it does is it adds kind of almost like a nutty flavor to it, a more rustic flavor than just plain white flour. Whole wheat flour can be a little heavy to bake with, but spelt has this wonderful lightness about it. And in Italy, it's called farro, and I'm sure you've had a farro salad or a farro dish before, and they make flour out of it. And so it's a great way, I think, of lightening up the white flour. And it's fun. It just adds a fun texture, and that's something new that I've done here with Boncora. I didn't do that with La Tempesta, but over the last few years, I've been studying different kinds of flours and sort of fiddling around a little bit with the recipe, and I thought that was a great blend.
And actually, with the chocolate dip variety of the cookie, the chocolate's a very special type of chocolate. You selected that specially. It's a blend, correct?
Yeah, guitar chocolate right here in Northern California, and I blend 50% milk chocolate and 50% semi-sweet.
Well, I want to thank Bonnie Tempesta of Boncora Biscotti. That was a great interview. I learned a lot about biscotti.
Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. I'm glad that I finally got to hear it after you had the opportunity to talk to her when I wasn't there.
You're a busy man, Bill. You can't be everywhere
everything
at once.
happens at the same time, I've noticed.
It's true. It's true. That's the way life goes.
The older I get, the quicker time goes, and the more things that happen on the same day.
Yes, and I want to remind people to check out Boncora Biscotti. That's Boncora Biscotti, and you can go to their website, which is boncorabiscotti.com, and that's where you can order biscotti to be delivered right to your home. So
that's a clever idea. It really
check it out and grab some of their. They're really good biscotti, and I know a lot of people, they spend time making these cookies once a year, twice a year. Just order them.
I was going to say, why buy it when you can get it? And they are very good. They really are.
And that's why I say that. If they were so cookies or whatnot, I would say make your own, but they're really good biscotti, so they're really worth.
And what I think is interesting, every Boncora purchase supports charities working to end childhood hunger in America and protect abandoned pets in my hometown community of Sonoma, California.
Well, that's a great cause.
So they're giving back. Not only are they making probably a nice little profit on, but they're giving back to their local community and to organizations worldwide,
which is great. So it makes you even feel better about buying them.
Exactly.
And you'll definitely enjoy them with a nice cup of coffee. I know that's what you've been thinking about.
Hey, I've been thinking about it since I've been watching them, but unfortunately, we got to wrap it up.
So we will be back next week at 9 a.m. next Saturday, which will be the 27th of July.
Oh my gosh, the last Saturday in July.
The last Saturday in July. Where does the time go? It seems like only yesterday it was the
first Saturday in July.
Yeah, it was the first Saturday of the 2013.
That's true.
But I want to thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Bonnie, and please tune in next week. Check us out at justcookitradio.com, and if you want to watch the shows at justcookit.tv. We will be back again next Saturday, 9 a.m. right here on your local station, 590 Radio, WMBS.
You have been listening to Just Cook It Radio with Mario Pereca and Bill Alexander. For more information on this program and how to download it as a podcast, go to justcookitradio.com. If you have any questions or comments about the show, please call us at 1-855-590-0590.
This has been a $1 Million Baby production.